Breaking news this week in the court case against Andrew Tate. A lot of people have opinions about Andrew Tate, but in this video, we're going to look at just the facts and ask the question, is Andrew Tate innocent? In full disclosure, I did not know a lot about Andrew Tate before researching this video, but what I do talk about on this channel is government corruption, and that is why I wanted to look at his case. So I never really used to watch Andrew Tate's videos. He's one of these guys on Instagram who owns a Bugatti supercar and posts videos of himself driving around and looking cool. There are a bunch of people on Instagram who do this kind of thing. Whenever I see someone on Instagram in their 30s driving a Bugatti, I shut the video off because it is such a bad financial decision for someone in their 30s to spend their money on a supercar. That's the time in your life when you should be investing for the future. What he should have done was buy a Honda Civic. Now that's smart money management. Once I see the supercar, I don't want to listen to anything they have to say. So I never really listened to Andrew Tate. But let's start with some backstory. In mid-2022, Andrew Tate was banned off all platforms for being a misogynist. He would call himself Top G and say negative things about women. He would say things like, a woman should bring a man a sandwich. In some cases, he would use more colorful language than that, and I'm not going to repeat that on YouTube. Even with the colorful language, though, this is usually not a bannable offense. But Andrew Tate was becoming incredibly popular on social media, especially with young people. He was the most searched person on Google in 2022. So what was happening is that in grade schools all over the world, little kids were running around the playground shouting things that Andrew Tate said and making the girls on the playground cry. This was happening everywhere. Andrew Tate's words were making little girls cry. Let me give you a specific example, and I'm going to use one that will not get me banned. There is one video with Andrew talking about his Bugatti, and he was saying that some people did not like the color. It's this very bright orange color. And his response was, "What color is your Bugatti?" "Oh, F off then." Okay, where do I start with this? This is a very fifth grade way of interacting with other people. It's also a very unhealthy way to talk about money. The value of a man should not be based on his bank account or what car he drives. I think that Andrew Tate is finding this out right now because I believe the police have impounded his Bugatti. So he doesn't even have one anymore. Andrew Tate is likely going to lose most of his money over the next few years as he deals with this criminal case. Even if he wins, he's going to have to pay off his legal bills and restructure his businesses and property at enormous losses. But even if Andrew Tate becomes penniless, let's say he loses everything, it does not make him any less of a person. And it does not mean that when all of this is over, he won't make all the money back and then some. I think the Bugatti example shows the level of immaturity in his old videos, and it became a big problem. Imagine the playground at a grade school, and all the rambunctious boys are running around screaming, "What color is your Bugatti?" You can see how that would become frustrating for the teachers. Here are some of the problems that the teachers were having in the classroom. A student refused to read an article written by a woman because women should only be housewives. Boys listed Andrew Tate as a role model on back-to-school questionnaires. Students cited him in research papers as a legitimate source of information. Any boy that would defend a girl would be called a simp. If a teacher tried to stop conversation about Andrew Tate, they would respond with, "You're just scared because he is an alpha male." Now, I don't want to see anyone in the comments saying that these kids sound based. They are not based. They sound like troublemakers. And I am betting if Andrew Tate had a kid who spoke like that to their teacher, Andrew Tate would smack them for being disrespectful. Not that smacking them would be an effective way of parenting. I'm just imagining that's what Andrew Tate would probably do. The decision was made by social media that Andrew Tate was a danger to society. Multiple social media platforms have banned him, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Only recently has Elon Musk reactivated Andrew Tate's account on Twitter. That brings us to his arrest. 8 months ago, in December 2022, the Romanian police arrested Andrew Tate on charges of sex trafficking 7 women and raping one of them. Andrew Tate could spend 10 to 15 years in Romanian prison. Andrew's brother, Tristan Tate, was also arrested and charged with being part of the criminal organization. Andrew and his brother were held in Romanian prison for 3 months while the prosecution investigated and built their case. On March 31st, they were moved to house arrest. At this point in the case, the prosecution has officially submitted their case, and now the judge has 60 days to review the case file to decide whether to throw it out or send it to trial. 60 days would be over next month in August, although I believe this deadline is flexible and might go longer. Some of the supporters of Andrew Tate want to gloss over his shady past, but it does not do any good to ignore the harsh reality of how Andrew Tate made his money. He started out in the porn industry. He has admitted this. Here's a screenshot from a video where he talks about his webcam business. This video is from 10 years ago. Just by looking at this image, you can tell he's a lot younger. I'm guessing early 20s. He would help his girlfriends set up webcam sites where they would sell sexual pictures and video online. Basically, he dated porn stars and would help them run their websites. This seems to be how he made a large chunk of his money. I've got to say, that does not seem to be a very alpha male thing to do. Regardless, that's not sex trafficking. It's not a crime to work in the porn industry. It's not a crime to date a porn star. It is not a crime to share bank accounts when you are in a relationship. And I have seen no evidence that any of his former girlfriends were coerced to do anything. In fact, in all the interviews of his past girlfriends, they all speak very highly of him. It also seems like Andrew Tate stopped doing this a long time ago. He said that he stopped doing anything related to the webcam websites 5.5 years ago. The video everyone is mad about is from 10 years ago. Are we really going to hold this man accountable for something stupid he said in a video a decade ago? Let's do a quick survey. Raise your hand if you ever did anything stupid in your early 20s. Now, I can't tell how you are responding, but I'm guessing that at least some of you are raising your hand. None of Andrew Tate's shady past should be relevant to the current court case in Romania. The Romania charges are all for activities that allegedly took place starting in 2021, many years after Andrew Tate stopped working in the webcam business. I know there are people out there who hate Andrew Tate and cannot let the story about the porn go. You have to start to wonder, at what point are you willing to let this go? What is the date when you can stop holding his past against him? I really want someone to tell me what the exact date is. There has to be some time frame when it's been long enough to move on, because it has already been a decade since that video. At some point, the problem stops being Andrew Tate and starts being all the people who can't let the past go. In my opinion, 5 years should be the limit when you need to stop throwing someone's past in their face. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. I think the better approach would be to forgive Andrew Tate for his past and then see what cool things he can do next. Why don't we allow him to become a force for good in the world? Real life is messy. People have drug problems. People make mistakes. People do things they regret. You need to allow people the space to move on. And if you can only accept people with a perfect past, you're going to be disappointed, especially with yourself. So what is the evidence in the current court case against Andrew Tate? Apparently, very little. Now, we do not know exactly what is in the case file, but Andrew Tate's lawyers have seen the whole file and stated that there is no evidence for the charges against him. They are claiming that the prosecutors found several witnesses who have accused Andrew Tate of crimes, but without any evidence. It's just accusations. I tend to believe Andrew Tate's lawyers on this, because if there was some evidence, I am betting they would have leaked it to the newspapers by now. So we're sitting here trying to figure out this crazy situation with Andrew Tate. Let me just interject some life advice. If the government ever issues a statement, you should not just accept it at face value. You should at least ask some questions. I think the same thing goes with this situation with Andrew Tate. The Romanian government has issued these charges against him. I think it's worth questioning, especially since it seems there are some problems with the evidence. But it gets worse. In a shocking turn of events, two of the witnesses for the prosecution went on Romanian television and gave interviews saying that they were not victims. They claimed Andrew Tate was innocent. They said, "You cannot list me as a victim if I say I am not one." Despite the fact that the victims are denying the charges, the Romanian judge ruled in February that the victims have been brainwashed. The court is considering them victims of sex trafficking, even though the victims themselves say they were not sex trafficked. I watched the interviews of the girls. They did not seem brainwashed to me. It is completely absurd that the key witnesses in this case are saying that nothing happened, and the courts are just ignoring their testimony. Then, just 2 weeks ago, Andrew Tate appealed his house arrest, requesting that he be allowed to travel Romania freely pending his court date. This is very revealing. Two judges looked at the case file. One judge decided to keep Andrew under house arrest, and the second judge decided to release Andrew from house arrest. The two judges looked at the same case file and came to different decisions, which speaks to the weakness of the prosecution's case. A third judge was brought in and decided to keep Andrew under house arrest until the 60-day period had concluded. In another shocking revelation, Andrew Tate released a video on Monday this week explaining the case against him. He claims there are now only 4 girls making accusations against him, not the original 7 he was charged with. It is unclear what happened to the other 3 allegations, but maybe their stories did not pan out. 2 of the women are the ones who went on TV and said they were not victims. So that only leaves 2 women who are claiming they were kidnapped. And Andrew Tate provided security camera footage showing that they left his house under their own free will. Andrew Tate also alleges that one of these women has previously falsely accused 7 other rich men of kidnapping her in the past. She does not seem to be a very reliable witness. Now, I'm just not going to take Andrew Tate's word for it, so I looked into this further. A lot of the court documents have been released online. I have read all of them that I could find. Just to be specific, here is what is in the case file that I have seen. There are statements from 4 victims, each for time periods after 2021. Originally, there were 7 victims, but apparently now there is only 4. 2 of these girls are the ones who were allegedly brainwashed. One of the witnesses claims that the Tate brothers took 50% of their income. This comes from the statement of one of the victims who says, They all were promised a 50% share of the earnings from OnlyFans and TikTok, but no contracts were signed. However, this is just an accusation. There is no financial evidence any transactions occurred. Think about that. The police took the computers, they looked at his bank statements, and there is no financial evidence to support the accusation? That's strange. Andrew Tate is also charged with rape, but I saw no evidence of that in the court documents. The case file also contains a lot of text messages between Andrew Tate and the girls that are pretty gross. In the messages, they talk dirty to each other. But that is also not evidence of any crimes. They're certainly embarrassing. Let me give you just a sample. Andrew, you must understand that once you are mine, you will be mine forever. A woman never leaves her man. I will be the last man in your life. What do we do if we fall in love and I kidnap you to bring you to Bucharest? Girl, I don't think it's kidnapping if I want to come. Andrew, first, I need to see in your eyes that you could never live without me, and then I can trust you to show you everything. Girl, bring a ring with you when you come, smiley face emoji. And there is much more. I read them all. I can confirm that they are gross, but they were clearly meant to be private between romantic partners. I don't know how the prosecution is expecting to use this as evidence. The girl says that she wants to come and that she wants a wedding ring. I don't think that is evidence of trafficking or rape. Think about it from your own perspective. Can you imagine if someone took your text messages with someone you used to date and released them to the public? I would be mortified, because when you're dating someone, you joke around. You don't message how you talk in real life. Sometimes it gets a little spicy. I would be so embarrassed, because they're meant to be personal. I do not believe that because Andrew Tate sent some spicy messages to his girlfriend that that is evidence of sex trafficking. Otherwise, you would all be guilty too. So that is it. That is what I saw in the court documents. So with everything we know, there does not appear to be any evidence against Andrew Tate for these crimes. This is shocking because the police raided his home. They took his computers and vehicles. They interviewed thousands of witnesses, and after all of that, there is no evidence? This is pretty revealing. Imagine all that pressure on so many people and not a single one turned on Andrew Tate. That says a lot about his character, that his friends stood by him when the whole world was against him. From all of this, I just don't trust these prosecutors are being honest. They lied about the number of victims. They claim 2 of the victims are brainwashed when they don't appear to be brainwashed in interviews. There's no financial evidence of the crimes. The only 2 witnesses left seem very untrustworthy. The court documents I have read actually support what Andrew Tate is saying, not what the prosecutors are saying. Now, I've read all the news reports about this case that bash Andrew Tate. But what I want to know is, why do any of these so-called journalists not mention any of these major problems with the prosecution's case? It doesn't take a lot of digging to find out that what the prosecution is saying does not add up. What are these journalists doing? I don't understand why no one is asking these very obvious questions. I think the lack of evidence suggests the case is the result of government corruption. It looks like fake charges were made up just to throw Andrew Tate in jail. A lot of people do not like Andrew Tate, but you cannot throw someone in prison because you do not like them. Now, I'm not an expert on the Romanian legal system, but it is still based on the general idea of fairness. You cannot accuse someone of rape without any evidence. If that was true, then anyone could randomly accuse anyone else of rape. Society would fall apart. The same thing with sex trafficking. You cannot accuse someone without any evidence. Is Andrew Tate perfect? No, Did Andrew Tate make mistakes in his past? Probably. Should he be thrown in prison? Not from what I have seen. Some people will point to the gross text messages and all the negative quotes from Andrew Tate about women to claim he did something wrong. But you have to be careful that you're not taking his words out of context. Andrew Tate has also said, "I have nothing against women. I believe women are the most precious things on the planet. They create life. They should be protected. They should be provided for. I would never let a woman pay for a bill. I would never let a woman do that. If someone touched any of my women, I would stand up against 10 men by myself and risk my life to protect her. I believe that women are beautiful creatures." Now, if that was all you heard, that sounds like a pretty upstanding person. You can cherry pick any quotes you want from a person and make them out to be a monster or a hero. I think that some people are using Andrew Tate's quotes out of context as a weapon against him. A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson did a 2.5-hour interview with Andrew Tate. I listened, and I thought he had some important messages to say for men out there. This includes some really empowering messages that men are not hearing anywhere else. After I finished watching the interview, I did 100 push-ups. I think there's a broader issue going on. Men are getting left behind in society. I started this video talking about all the boys misbehaving in the classroom. Maybe the reason they are misbehaving is not because of Andrew Tate. Maybe the boys are being ignored by the teachers. There is a vacuum of leadership, and it is getting filled by Andrew Tate because the teachers are leaving the boys behind. Don't blame Andrew Tate when it is the teachers who cannot manage their classrooms. I say this because we see it in the statistics. In every U.S. state, women are more likely than men to have a college degree by a lot. Here's a chart showing the difference in degrees between men and women. You can see it was equal in 1981 and then dramatically expands after that. Last year, New York Times columnist David Brooks wrote a shocking article about the state of young men in America. 1 in 3 men with only a high school diploma are unemployed. Men account for 3 out of every 4 deaths from suicide and drug overdoses. These are shocking numbers. We are leaving our young men behind. Maybe the solution is to stop worrying about Andrew Tate and stop leaving the boys behind in school. It's like the whole system is designed to marginalize young men and destroy them before they even get through school. Who is speaking out for the men? Banning Andrew Tate doesn't do anything because you're not addressing the real issue, which is solving the crisis with young men in this country. Andrew Tate is not the problem, and if you think that he is, you are missing the whole point. Let me just say, if any young men are out there watching this video, I know it feels like the world is against you. But I hope you realize you can do anything if you set your mind to it. So get up, stand up straight, fight back, and get after it. You are the future, and you need to become the men that you were meant to be. But back to the court case, because the facts suggest that something even more sinister is going on here. It seems like there have been a lot of court cases lately, many that I have covered on this channel, where people are being wrongfully prosecuted in court with little or no evidence. Just this week, President Trump received notice that he will be charged for a 3rd indictment, this time for encouraging violent protests at the Capitol. These charges are being brought when, if you look at his tweets from the day, it says, "I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you." Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Trump tells the crowd to stay peaceful twice. Any normal person can plainly see that these charges are ridiculous. Then there are all the other Republicans who are also facing unfair prosecutions. It seems like the Department of Justice has created a two-tier justice system and has weaponized the government against the American people. Just because someone is not liked, or you disagree with them, or they are the wrong political party, you cannot just throw them in jail. That is called government corruption. It is not right, and everyone can see through it. Just look at what happened with Hunter Biden. He was caught red-handed on gun charges and millions of dollars in tax fraud. And he's getting a sweetheart plea deal with no jail time. There's cocaine found in the White House, and the investigation is closed. More government corruption. So the real story about Andrew Tate is that his case in Romania is exposing government corruption in the US. When the Romanian judge makes a decision next month, the charges against Andrew Tate might be completely dropped. If that happens, in that moment, the judge will be showing the world that Romania is a better democracy than the United States. Think about that. Romania? Could you believe that Romania could be a more fair democracy than the US? If Andrew Tate's case is thrown out because there is no evidence, it will show that Romania's court system is based on justice, while in the US, the politicians are arresting their political opponents. Now, I've never been to Romania, but from what I know about it, they are a deeply religious people who believe in right and wrong. They believe in truth and justice. I think this judge might throw out the case. Of course, they might also throw Andrew Tate in prison instead, and then the whole world would know that Romania is corrupt. But if they follow the evidence and let Andrew Tate go free, it will show the world that Romania is better than the US when it comes to the rule of law, which is really sad for the United States. So now you've listened to the facts. Is Andrew Tate innocent? I'm going to leave this up to the comment section. I don't know if you know this, but I have the smartest comment section on YouTube. I'm not joking. You guys are brilliant. If you ever want a good time, read the comments below my videos. They are fire. So let me know down below, do you think Andrew Tate is innocent or guilty? I have a funny feeling you'll be able to figure it out just by reading the comments. And if you did not like my opinions in this video, all I gotta say is, what color is your Bugatti?